What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the D.O.G Podcast. It's only been like a year since the last time we did one of these.
A little rusty, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're back.
We're back.
New setting.
New setting.
We change every season.
new people, new setting, new house.
We upgrade.
Everything's new. Everything's new.
We upgrade. Same equipment, same jackasses.
Same shitty takes.
Mm-hmm.
But different locations. We're moving up in the world.
Yeah,
Maybe. I don't know. That studio is kind of legit.
Yeah, it was fun. We could probably go back. Probably go back. It's just with everybody's work schedule, dude.
It does kind of suck now.
No. But speaking of shitty takes, you think the Cowboys still have a chance?
Just as much as the Niners.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, Niners are done.
Cowboy season's over. I mean, if they would have beat the Bengals, I would have thought maybe there's an opportunity there.
I wanted you guys to be the Bengals.
But at the same time, I kind of want the season to be over with. I want a good draft pick. I want Genty. So is
Fresno State
is something funny?
No, go ahead.
Hey, you know what? Jerry Jones likes his Boise boys. Okay.
Van Der Esch, the guy that broke his neck.
Trent Williams.
Trent Williams. Shout out Trent.
Fuck that guy.
Shout out. Let's show a guy Trent Williams that is not Trent Williams. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Because Justin and I are sitting there watching it. It's like it shows Trent Williams. That's not Trent.
That's not Trent. That's not Trent.
I told Jesse that's an awesome joke. You could just zoom in on anybody and say it's like Matthew McConaughey. That is not Matthew McConaughey, but
that
whatever.
Yeah.
You just got to us when you upload the video.
I could just put random names. Yeah. Ice Cube, Jay-Z,
guest starring
Diddy.
That's what Prime did last night. They just completely zoomed in on a guy that wasn't him. Huh?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
it wasn't even close to looking like.
It was like the Kirkland version. Trent Williams.
It was a black guy in a hoodie with a beard, and they were like, "Close enough."
Who is that guy? Do you know who that guy was?
No, I had no idea who that was. He didn't even look like he was a football player.
It was Devondre Campbell.
No, he was in the locker room chilling.
Might as well.
He was like, "I'm out,
like
dude."
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Mr. Campbell.
He hit the old AB and said, "Deuces, I'm out." I mean, I don't know. Like, well, obviously he's gonna get cut, right?
He already did.
Did he already get cut?
Morning,
It was already this morning. Yeah. So they're just like, because I've stayed off of the internet after the Niner games because I was like, dude, I'm so sick of the negativity towards the Niners. Like the Niner fans, the so-called Niner fans, like,
are they wrong though?
Well, they just get on and they just they rant about some of the dumbest shit. Like, we're not gonna fire Kyle Shanahan. If he wants to leave on his own, he's gonna leave on his own. We're not gonna fire him, right? Like, we've learned our lesson when it comes to like firing coaches and hiring. Like when we fucking hired Chip Kelly, we hired the fucking janitor, right? Tom Sola or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like, we're not going to fire Kyle. They were asking him about like, oh, did you lose the locker room? He's like, no, it's just one guy. One guy was the only one that's playing with that attitude.
And he was all pissed off because Greenlaw played over him, right?
Yeah, one of the best linebackers in the NFL, finally back from injury.
Like you knew what was coming into that season. Like you're basically there to replace him. You know he's going to come back at some point.
You would expect something better from a veteran player, but maybe too, like you get to a certain age, you're like, I've been busting my ass the entire season.
Should have been better.
Was Campbell's performance this season
his was bad.
They said I saw the stat last night. They said that he hadn't had a game where he accumulated over 8 tackles in a game.
Right.
And D-Law did that last night in the first half.
As a linebacker, dude, you can't get more than 8 tackles in a game.
And the thing is like you can't even justify like, oh, Greenlaw played like shit out there. Like, dude was flying around. He was by far our best player last night.
That's insane.
I saw that intro of him.
That's sad also.
Oh yeah,
it's very sad.
I saw the intro of him running out. Like I was like, oh, that looked juice. But then in my head, I'm like, man, what if he just gets hurt again?
Oh, no. Don't say the other one just snaps. Oh,
it was cool though. Like it was cool watching him come back because you could hear the roar of the crowd.
Yeah, dude,
everybody was excited.
He was a fan favorite. He was one of those guys where like during the year we knew he was gonna come back. That's why like early on we didn't really panic because we thought like, all right, he's gonna come back. What's his name? McCaffrey was going to come back, and like Wafanga was going to come back,
and then everything will fall into place.
Everything and then everything would like, because like the Niners have done it before, right? Where they start off slow and then they make a run at the end, right? Even the year that we lost to the Eagles in the NFC Championship, It was slow because it was that Trey Lance, Garoppolo, and then Purdy came in and won out. And so we were thinking like, okay, we just got to get right, and we're going to win out, win the rest of the division, go to the playoffs. We'll see what happens, right? But it's just like nothing came together. Like they never meshed. And then like the players with the tragedies off the field, you know, and like you're like that was another thing that they were talking about. Like, dude, like Ward lost a kid like a month ago.
So did Trent.
And so did Trent. But Ward was out there like busting. He was suited up.
A couple days later.
Yeah, like he was out there, and this was actually probably his best game since coming back, because he was like, oh, he came back kind of rusty. And so he was actually playing a lot better last night. And then Campbell just, you know, just because somebody took your spot. Yeah.
I'm out.
And he's like, don't even put me in.
That's crazy.
At that point, don't even dress out then.
Yeah, because then you just.
That's what the guys were saying. You wasted a spot.
Mm-hmm.
You wasted a spot.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad, man.
But it also, too, is like, because you hear the reaction from the rest of the league, and it's just like, who's going to pick him up now? You know
I was
what I mean?
talking about that earlier today. It's like you tarnish your reputation
a little bit
by not being willing to play when your number's called. You also prove to everyone that you're a sore fucking loser.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not playing, so I don't want to play if you need me.
I heard one guy on a fucking ESPN show, I forgot who it was, but he was like, he might be getting the better end of this because he's getting released and he might go to an actual contender. I was like, what contender is going to want him at this point? You bailed on your teammates while your season's hanging in the balance. And then now I'm just gonna give up.
Reminds me of Vontae Davis back in the day with the Bills.
Yeah,
but
he retired. He retired.
He said, "I can't do this anymore."
He said, "I'm done." He hung up the cleats at halftime.
He said they were too fast for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "I'm not."
He said, "No more.
I can't do this no more."
He
coach.
said, "Pop that Henny, bro. I'm going to Florida." He's like, I'm done with this. But
the only team that would go after him is a team that is
the Cowboys,
a Super Bowl contender. That and you're a one linebacker away. Like you have a tragedy where you're in desperate need of a veteran linebacker who knows what they're doing. And without that linebacker, you're not going to win the Super Bowl. And I don't think there's any team like that out there.
No, I don't see it.
So
I mean, the Lions have a bunch of injuries on defense, but like I don't see how
think
you
Dan Campbell's going to let that happen?
No, but I'm saying like you can't bring in a guy like that after like he just like basically left his teammates out there,
especially like on a Thursday night, and like the rest of the NFL has the entire weekend to like talk about it.
Yeah,
that's the thing, and that's the thing is all these pundits do is just like they pick up a story, they're gonna talk it to death. And then,
if this was
what are we doing,
Yeah, that's exactly.
If this was a Sunday 125 game, it might not have gotten as much traction as it did.
Because there was like other things going on, right?
You're still talking about the morning games. You got multiple afternoon games Sunday night.
In a game where there was no touchdowns, what do you think they're going to pick up?
What was the most exciting part of that game? That guy refused to play.
Yeah, exactly. Because we did before we left to go play the indoor game, we did watch up until I think it was the beginning of the fourth quarter, and it was such a boring game. Like I was telling Jess, like I'm glad we didn't go. Like looking at the rain, like that's another thing too. Is like the conditions sucked. I mean, it kind of sucks for the Niners for having to play 3 games like this, like in like 3 out of 4 games with like terrible conditions.
Oh no, boo-hoo.
I'm not saying like that's the reason they lost.
So then now let me ask you this: so what do you do with Purdy? Do you give him the big contract? Do you want him as a Niner fan?
This is a big question.
I want him. That's like who are we going to replace?
So then, who is more to blame last night on? I understand the weather had played a big part of it.
Weather. Okay, so the thing with Purdy is I don't think he's ever played like so bad to where like he single-handedly costs us the game, right? Because he doesn't. Yeah, he'll turn the ball over, but they're not like those silly ass like Daniel Jones ass turnovers, right? Where it's like in a terrible spot. Last night he was trying to make a play, let the ball go downfield. Okay, he caught it. The other defender caught it in the end zone. Like big deal, right? So, obviously he didn't help, right? Like so that's like the thing with like Purdy, like this whole season. I feel like no, he's not a huge part of the problem. But he's also not a huge part of the solution, if that makes sense. Like
he's not going to hurt you, but he's not.
He's also not the guy he's not a Josh Allen who's going to pull us over. So does he carry a team?
Does he need superstar like a 1 and then like a really good running back to show off his talent, or
Yeah, well, I
because
mean,
he can't be the guy to lead.
well, he's not going to be. He's not.
He
a
can't
dude.
carry your
He's not a
offense.
dude, but at the same time, he still kind of is. Like he's not.
He can manage it.
He's not top 10 quarterback, but he is upper division, middle pack, where he's not going to lose us games, but he's not going to like put the team on his back and win
He's
us
Trent
games
Dilfer.
by himself.
So is he Tua?
He's a little
No.
Tua-ish. Yeah,
No, I think
I would say a little bit.
Because there's limitations, right?
There's limitations there,
Okay.
but he's going to get the job done. And that's the thing is like.
When he's going, he's going.
That's the thing is like, okay, like in the NFL right now, what are like, there's like 4 or 5 guys that you can say is like a quarterback that's going to put the team on his back, because is Jared Goff one of those guys? Or
No.
In
or-
that system, he is.
that's what I'm saying. He's balling
it's the
out, but he
system.
has, he
That's not
has-
him.
That's why I'm interested to see if what they do without Ben Johnson. If he gets
That's
a
what I
job.
mean. And then
this is their only year.
Yeah.
that's what I mean. And then he has Amon
Shout out
Ra.
Darcy.
He's got Montgomery. He's got Gibbs. He's got Laporta. Superstars riddled across that
Amon-Ra,
offense,
yeah.
right? You know, like what NFL team is going to be successful without having? I mean, even Mahomes is having a down year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that defense is carrying him, right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, down year he's 2 losses.
I mean, statistically, him personally
Yeah.
is having a down year, but
Yeah.
they're balling out, they're winning. But you know, like, okay, so like if you're not Lamar Jackson, you're not Josh Allen, you're not Patrick Mahomes, Herbert, can you throw him in there? Like where they're going to be dudes that are going to pull their team.
Very underrated season. Joe Burrow needs to be in the conversation. This dude that's putting his team on his back.
But they're still losing.
That's not his problem.
But
He's averaging
if we're gonna
almost
give
30
shout
points a
outs,
game.
can we give one to Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold
For what
is
he's doing.
what he's doing in
That's-
Minnesota.
It's impressive.
So do you keep him now, Sam Darnold in Minnesota? Or-
I would.
Well,
You have JJ McCarthy still.
Sam
on
Darnold was the backup.
They-
They announced it before the season. He's the backup.
He was going to be the backup.
and they invested their entire future on this kid. And then Darnold's like, well, I'm like gonna have an MVP like season.
Well, McCarthy, he's on a rookie deal, right? So
Yeah.
you bring back. You don't give Darnold a huge deal. I mean, what if you give him like and that's another thing with Purdy. Like, what if you give him just another Tua deal or another Baker Mayfield deal?
But
right?
everyone's getting 5-year deals unless you somehow get him to 3.
I mean, if you get him to 3, I mean, it's gonna because he's got one more year left. It's gonna depend on how he plays next year.
You don't think
Big time.
You don't think Purdy's gonna want some Dak Prescott money?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, also Purdy is also a guy where if you pull him out of that system, like we talked about with Jared Goff, is he going to be successful?
Okay, here's my next.
I feel like they have a good marriage, the
So-
Niners and Purdy.
Obviously, this year it was injury riddled for the
It sucked.
49ers,
It
right?
sucked.
A little, maybe fatigue, a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. Could you say?
It's just these guys the roster needs to be refreshed.
You've been at the top for so long, like you
Yeah.
finally had an off year.
yeah.
Is the window closing for them, or is it just an off year?
But I mean, I think
I mean, these guys
'Cause
aren't
they're
getting younger.
They're
If-
getting
if you think-
older.
You know,
McCaffrey's
Fred
having
Warner, not
issues.
getting
if you
younger.
think about it in the NFL, the window's open for like half of the league, right? And
You're
so-
being generous here. It's like about 8 teams.
okay, I would say about 8 teams, right?
Yeah.
And so I still think the Niners are still there where they have an open window. Are they going to be like Detroit and like dominate throughout the entire year, or like the Chiefs and they're just going to fucking be in the NFC Championship every year? Probably not. But they can. I mean, the Rams won a Super Bowl, had a couple of down years. Now they're in the conversation again with the way Puka and Cooper Kupp are playing.
Well, just
You know?
Puka last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp.
And
just
who's the
ran
kicker?
over.
He had a good game too.
I don't know. He's the backup though. He wears
Well,
like 45
Something
or
like
48.
that. Yeah, that's how I was like.
He
every
wasn't the
time,
guy that was
I
there.
was
He
hoping
made
like
4
with
field goals.
I was hoping with the conditions he would at least miss one of them.
Yeah, these dudes were just hitting the ball like it was nothing. I was like, man, this is.
Even Moody, the year that he's had, even he's like, man.
I was
don't even
surprised in
know.
the rain how they were able to hit.
Well, you just got to make sure that you don't slip, right? I feel like maybe
You
some
just
studs.
plant your foot.
Maybe
and
some
just
studs
swing
that are a little
through
bit
it.
bigger, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, the water's not going to affect the ball that much. Maybe it's
Not if you're kicking it. Yeah, that's true.
Not if it carries.
Because
Probably a little less.
there was also not a lot of wind when it rains in Santa
Yeah, you
Clara.
should be-
It's not
you should
windy.
be fine. Just make sure you don't slip. The big thing is your footing. Make sure
just to make sure your plant foot's down.
Yeah.
So you don't think the window's closing? It's just
No, I don't think. I mean, they had a down year. Okay,
So
I mean,
same team that's healthy next year, you think Super Bowl contender?
I mean, so if you have Brock Purdy one more year on that contract, right? So you have to. So if this is not going to be your all-in season, it has to be next year, right? Because then you can still pay some guys to come in, right? I mean, well, they cut Campbell. I think they're going to probably restructure some guys. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Debo. Like he's falling apart. That's another guy. Ayuk comes back healthy next year. McCaffrey comes back healthy next year. So you can make another push. You get another couple of veterans to come in and help with the defense. Maybe a couple offensive linemen that you invest to protect Purdy a little bit more, and you see what happens. And then after that, then you can start to refresh your roster and stuff. I feel like rosters need to be reset in the NFL like every 4 years, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even the
It's
Chiefs
like
have
a
a completely
turnover.
different roster.
My question for you is we really haven't talked about it a whole lot. The Niners had two guys that sat out for like the entire summer preseason, Ayuk and Trent Williams.
Yeah.
And both of them are hurt.
Yeah.
Now, what I've kind of found interesting is, do you think Jennings is having a good enough year to question paying Ayuk?
I questioned paying Ayuk from the beginning.
get-go? Did you?
Like I
Okay.
was like, yeah, he was.
Is he a system guy?
He had a good year last year, but I mean, I feel like it was just more of the fact that Brock Purdy was like slinging it last year. Because Ayuk was not a top tier receiver when it was like Jimmy or when
He
it was
benefited
Lance.
from
Yeah.
everyone loading the box for McCaffrey and
Exactly.
And that was before Debo fell
Yeah.
off.
And exactly, and before Debo fell off, so it's just like, and then you still had to worry about a younger Kittle, where Kittle was going off. So I feel like he benefited from the system where it's just like, because they were able to spread the ball around to so many guys that last year just Ayuk would just find windows and get open, because he's an awesome route runner. Don't get me wrong, but he's not a Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, freaking CD Lamb. He's not those guys, right? Where you could just throw the ball up to them and then like,
He's like a tier
they're gonna
below.
come. He's like a tier below.
He's a B plus guy.
Yeah, he's maybe
Who's
maybe
making A money.
maybe a tier below like Amon-Ra. Like Amon-Ra is not those guys, but he's like right below them. And then I would go like Ayuk's level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's not at the peak.
So I didn't want them. I didn't want them to re-sign him. It was either let him go, trade him away, get some capital, because I mean they drafted Pearsall, which I'm not a fan, but he did get
Homeboy
shot.
got shot.
He did
Dude,
get
relax.
shot. So like
Yeah.
there's like benefit of the
Relax.
doubt there. So I mean, whatever they decide to do with Debo and then with Ayuk coming back,
Do you move on from Debo?
I feel like at this point you kind of have to.
Do you just turn Debo into a running back?
He sucked as a running back. Like
I
he's
really didn't watch a whole lot of the game last night. I really haven't watched a whole lot of Niners.
So all year Debo has
Sucks across the board.
It's just bad. Like he's had one good play against Green Bay where he had that kick return when he went downfield and it got called back for holding. So like that's been Debo's highlight this year. Even last year he had a few big splash plays, but he was never like a guy who was like consistently good. You know what I mean? Like we need him in the lineup. He does help a lot, 100%. But then I feel like it's just, if it's his body's failing him or what it is, or he's just getting older, or guys are just catching up to that playing style.
Just a big drop
Because
off.
he's not even running dudes over anymore. Like he's getting tackled and like easily by single dudes. You know what I mean? Like before, like he would run over guys. He would run over DBs.
He's not breaking tackles anymore.
He's not breaking tackles. Like guys are tackling him and hitting him low, and he's not even running hard. He's getting lit up. Like I think against Chicago, they try to run him the ball. He got lit up.
My last question about the Niners is Trent Williams. Did he sign 1 year?
No, it was an extension. I forgot for how long it was, but I mean, he's gonna come back.
You think he's gonna come back?
Like he'll come
The
back.
one on the sideline or the one? The
I don't know
actual
which
Trent
actual-
Williams?
one that's
actual
not
Trent Williams?
Trent Williams. It was like it looks more like James Harden, dude. Because like the guy with the beard,
James
it was
Harden?
like a fat James Harden, dude. Shout out to whoever that guy was. We're not calling you fat, but
He called you fat.
you said it first. But I mean, we have dudes that are going to come back. You go all in. Are we going to win the Super Bowl? I mean, who knows? If we get into the
No.
playoffs, I mean, who knows? But you can make one more run at it, and then you pay Purdy like $30 million a year. It doesn't have to be 50. You know what I mean? That's the thing is like every quarterback wants to reset the market.
But that's the thing. These agents are going to drive up the price on their guy.
I mean,
They're going to be, well, our guy beat Dak in the playoffs, so he deserves 55.
That's what I'm saying. And
it's ridiculous, bro.
Purdy is not on Dak Prescott money level. I'm not going to say
but
skill or head to head, but yes. But because almost everyone tries, who got paid last, I got to get paid more.
Right.
And that's
how it is.
They just reset the market. Like it's going to get to a point where you're going to have to literally just have a salary cap for quarterbacks.
Well, I think we're learning from like Daniel Jones resetting the market, right, and seeing like what they're going through, and then with like the Jaguars, what they're going through with Trevor Lawrence, right? They paid him; he reset the market too. So it's just like now, like you said, like our guys learning from watching all these other mediocre quarterbacks reset the market, and they're going to be like, we're not going to fall in the same trap anymore.
Yeah,
it's got to be I think it's going to be the Niners because they're in prime situations to do that. They're going to be the first team to be like, we're not going to reset the market. We're going to pay you what we think what's fair to help you and to help the team.
Well, I think what the Niners have really going for their favor is Brock Purdy is not the elite quarterback.
If he was like a number 1 overall pick, we'd be like, okay, it's a different situation. If he just like balled out in college or whatever, but it's because of the situation of where he was drafted. Everybody's got to be like, we don't know yet. I think he's a baller. I think he's an NFL caliber quarterback.
No,
like
for sure,
I like him.
Sure.
I like that he's my quarterback.
He's a top 20 quarterback in the NFL, top 15 quarterback in the NFL.
I'm happy with him. I like his leadership, his accountability. I feel like he'd be a cool ass dude to like even hang out with.
I do think it's too soon to talk about or even consider the idea of moving on from Purdy.
I wouldn't.
He's got enough in the tank that I've seen that he could get the job done. He could win the Super Bowl. It's not that far fetched.
He was an overtime away.
He left the field at Super Bowl with the lead.
He did.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you still have to. I mean, you also have one of the greatest to ever do it on the other side over there, right?
Yeah. Do we think he's going to three-peat this year? I think he's going to three-peat. I think he'll be the first to ever do it.
I think they're a first round exit.
You think they're a first round exit?
Yeah, I don't think they make it just because they've been playing with fire the whole season, and eventually I just think that's going to run out at some point. I'm not opposed.
They could.
Dude, I think we've talked about this before. I think he's going to be better than Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I do think he'll end up winning more championships than Tom Brady. The dude has found a way. You know, they talk about how if you flipped their one-sided or their single score victories,
they'd be like 2-11.
Yeah.
2-10,
okay,
yeah.
But here's the thing: he's getting those done.
Yeah.
How many times when they're like, "Oh, look at that! A field goal to win the game. The Chiefs, Mahomes got saved." He put them in position to do that, and he does that better than anyone in the league right now. I was telling someone earlier this year that this to me is probably one of my more favorite Patrick Mahomes seasons, because of how handcuffed he is offensively, and they're 11-2 or 12-2 or whatever it is now. It's super impressive to me that they're winning games. Granted, his defense is really, really good right now, but he's still finding ways to get the ball done. I mean, hell, for 5 weeks, Xavier Worthy was his number one receiver.
Yeah.
And he's got 500 yards on the season.
They also were without with Pacheco earlier in the year.
Yeah. So I think it's just really impressive. There's nothing flashy. He's not putting up Hall of Fame numbers. He's not putting record numbers.
Defense,
yeah, but his brother's gay, dude. We're all
what's
tired
impressive
of seeing it.
What's impressive
Dude, I haven't
is the
heard or seen of his brother in a year, 2 years. But yeah, the defense is very
That's
impressive.
what's held it together for them.
Yeah. What were you going to say, OC?
No, that's what's been impressive. Like the way that they've been able to stop teams and just like give him enough to just say, hey, just go down and just lead us so we can get a game-winning field goal.
That's true.
Because Butker's not even the kicker right now. It's the backup.
It was a backup,
Yeah.
With the dink and doink.
There's just so there's so much experience in that team. That's what all that is so much experience, so much professionalism.
They're really good executing in critical situations.
That's what makes
apart.
it so difficult to beat them, is that they never beat themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They can do it the entire game. They'll 3 and out, whatever.
When you need that drive.
But when it's a tie game or they're down 6 and they need 7, they're gonna go get it.
They're not having that blunder in their fight. Because I mean, because they were talking about the kick and how it was lucky, but before that, the play before that to get that first down with Mahomes rolled out and dunked it to Kelsey, and it was like, dude, I mean, who else is gonna make that play? Yeah. Maybe there's like 4 dudes that can make that play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk Miami Dolphins.
Just gonna skip over Dallas.
Yeah.
You don't want. He doesn't want the smoke, dude.
We'll move on. We'll move on to the Dolphins.
It's illegal
first.
to record me without my permission. And let's talk about Dallas. Like, I was actually talking to Tim earlier. He even asked me. Tim? He was like, he was asking me. He was like, who's more in shambles, the Cowboys or the Niners? I would like to know your guys' answer.
I'm not. I wouldn't say shambles. But who's worse off
Who's
right
in
now?
a worse situation?
The Cowboys are.
Yeah.
Because I got to move it. Hold on. Like, I had to adjust my back, bro. Come on, leave me alone.
Dude, that slingshot in the back.
Because they're questioning the head coach's position. The Niners aren't really questioning that, in my opinion.
Some
fans are, but the fans that are fucking idiots, those are the ones that are questioning that.
What's going on Twitter?
Go ahead. If you're questioning Kyle Shanahan, you're a fucking idiot.
I think so too.
That's why I would say they are more worse off right now. Am I too concerned about the Cowboys? No. I feel like the Cowboys and the Niners had a very similar season, very injury plagued.
Yeah.
Very. The Cowboys haven't had the defense that they wanted to start the season has never stepped on the field. The 11 guys not once this season.
It also doesn't help when you lose your starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yes, the Cowboys are worse off right now. They got questions on the offensive line. They're just a lot of young guys. The defense, I mean, they started like week 2. They were down to defensive end number 4 and defensive end number 5. Like, those guys were starting. So I knew from an early point on this was not a good season, just off of injuries. But those first 8 games where the offense was fairly decently put together,
Sorry, man.
Way to go.
I saw a lot of problems with Mike McCarthy, and that's not good.
So I was.
So you're not moving off of him, right?
It's really tough, dude, because he's had one bad year, and that's what everyone is really looking at right now. And last year, I mean, Dak was a legit MVP candidate. He was number 2 in MVP votes.
He was. Yeah.
Mike McCarthy took over play calling last year. So it's really difficult for me to say, we got to fire Mike McCarthy. We got to get rid of that guy. As much as I see that that's probably what's going to happen, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm also not opposed to keeping him.
You wouldn't take Ben Johnson if he was available?
Who?
He's going to be available.
I would take Ben Johnson over Mike McCarthy, yes.
And then you hire Salah as a coordinator?
What about Bill Belichick?
I don't think
Bill's available?
Bill Belichick is not available.
He has a buyout clause.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, before we transition.
Bill's trying to go to North Carolina, dude, get those girls, dude. Trying to get those guys to go to North Carolina.
They won't hire a DC. They're going to stick with Mike Zimmer. And for one reason and one reason only, Mike Zimmer never got the defense he was promised. It's hard to look at Mike Zimmer and say, look at all the points you gave up this season, and all he's going to turn around and say is, none of my starters got to play this year. What am I supposed to do?
I was watching the Hard Knocks, the NFC North one, the ones that are just like recently coming out, and watching how the Bengals were preparing to play against the Cowboys, and like watching like their entire offense was predicated around not getting hurt by Micah Parsons. Yeah. Like the dude's a dog. Like, and him not being on the field, it's so much different.
It's so different. I mean, you lose a whole extra player when Mike is on the field because you got to double him somehow.
Yeah.
Almost every play he is getting doubled, which means you're losing either an extra lineman or a running back or a tight end. You're losing someone because someone's got to help.
He could legit win the game from his position. Like, it's crazy. He's like Von Miller again, like a younger, like a young Von Miller. He's just so
explosive. But what blows my mind is he's probably one of the smaller guys out there that plays the line. I mean he's not as big as Bosa's. He's not.
Bosa's are
he's
huge,
not as
though.
big as DeMarcus Lawrence.
Right.
You know, some of these big ends, but
just the way he moves.
Maybe that's why he's so good.
Yeah.
Is because of how well he moves. But anyway, I think the Cowboys are probably worse off. They're more in shambles, if you want to say it, but I'm not concerned.
Well, I mean, you guys. I feel like the Cowboys are in a worse situation, but I feel like they do have a better roster because I feel like the clock kind of reset with Dak. Right, you don't have to worry about paying him anymore. You have CeeDee Lamb there, which like he's locked down. He's probably long term, right? And then what other aging guys you guys have? You know, like you guys, Zach Martin. That one's gonna suck.
He's
right?
probably gonna retire.
That one's gonna suck. But I feel like you guys are in a good situation if you manage your roster right and like actually brought in free agents.
What's probably gonna happen is they gotta draft running back. And if it's not Genty,
it's not going to be Genty.
You got to draft another A running back. The offensive line is going young, so they're really young this year. They're starting 2 rookies, a third year, and they're probably going to lose their right tackle and go young again. And so when you look at the seasons that Dak has had, that's really good. It's with a solid running back group. And so you have a good running back, you have a great offensive line. That's why I was like most quarterbacks.
Do you need a running back, or can you just like running back committee and then?
Look at Detroit. A running back by committee is working very well over there.
But they're also two really good.
Two really good running back.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you went out there and you got a first or second round running back, you could get a good running back. You can get an A+ running back.
They could find one in the free agency, right?
Yeah.
I don't know
who's a free agent. But Rico Dowdle's a pretty good running back, in my opinion. He's not an A+ running back. He's a B+ type of guy. And I think he will do really well with another really good running back. When Tony Pollard was the backup to Ezekiel Elliott, that was my favorite Tony Pollard.
Well, that was your guys' Montgomery Gibbs combo.
Yes, because what Tony Pollard did so well was he was the burst of speed. He was the fresh air from Ezekiel Elliott's like the pound and ground type of thing, you know? So I'm not opposed to a running back committee. I think it works better by that way. But you have to have 2 pretty good running backs. Right now, the Cowboys have a pretty good running back, and that's it.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like they're in a good situation. They're in a good situation. They make the playoffs?
No, they're not making the playoffs.
He's just about to say that.
They're not making
did that
the
on
playoffs.
purpose.
No. I mean, if you look at some of their games, it really looks like they're trying to find ways to lose. You look at that Washington game, it looked like you're trying to find a way to lose that game. You look at the Bengal game, we've talked about in high school football, telling kids, don't touch the ball. You got a guy that's a professional football player going after a punt that's tipped, thinking that the ball's live.
Yeah,
maybe he didn't know the rule.
But that's what I'm saying. High school kids know the rule.
He fucking panicked. He's like, I'm going to get the ball. I'm going to go return it. I'm going to get my dick sucked after the game.
Do you want to know what's even worse is that guy was on the IR for like 6 weeks, and then they elevated him that day.
He's like, yeah, back on IR.
Yeah, he's gonna find you.
There's nothing wrong with me though. If you're back on IR,
you're hurt. But yeah.
What the Chiefs did to what's his name, Kadarius Toney. He's just like, your ass. You're on IR.
Didn't they do that like right before the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was like right before the Super Bowl. Like, nope, you're on IR.
You're hurt.
You're hurt.
I'm fine, guys. I swear.
Not even traveling with the team, buddy.
He just got cut by Cleveland.
Oh, he was so bad at Cleveland.
He was with Cleveland?
Yeah, he muffed the punt.
He had so many blunders at Cleveland.
Was he just on special teams? I don't remember him seeing any routes.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I didn't even know that.
So bad, dude.
I didn't even know that.
The Giants kicked him out. The Chiefs kicked him out.
When the Giants cut you, dude, you got problems.
He might be done. Somebody will pick him up.
I've seen
his third team.
I've seen nothing from Kadarius Toney that makes me think he's an NFL player.
USFL.
Ooh,
start learning Canadian, bud.
That bad?
Start learning Canadian.
Canadian League.
Is Menzel still over there? Or he's
he's just doing podcasts now.
Oh, yeah. Poor guy.
Okay. Paid. Any other questions about the Cowboys?
I mean, the Cowboys, I think we covered it. That was good.
You got any question?
No.
Right. Move on to Miami.
Now you guys know my pain from
the past.
You guys always get.
What are you talking about?
Your teams. I know, but your teams have been front runners. The last couple of years.
The past few years, we've been spoiled.
Okay,
yeah, I would. Give
Miami's been kind of middle of the pack. They'll get off to a hot start, then cool down.
Yeah,
I'm a Cowboys fan, dude. It's been hell since 1996.
Oh, when you remember them winning the Super
Yes,
Bowl
I was.
in '92
I was alive.
At 2
It was
years old.
'96
or '94, fucking whatever.
February '96.
Anyways, I mean, Tua's been playing unbelievable the last month.
He's slinging it. I
yeah.
like the way he's playing.
He
They
got
won-
some sense knocked into him.
Yeah, literally.
Oh,
They won 3 out of 4, right?
he threw out the West Side
And then
He won 3 out of 4.
to a West Side. Yeah.
and they've kind of thrown themselves back into the mix. They were 2-6 at one point. Now they're 6-7.
standings?
Yeah, they're back into it.
They're in the hunt. Like they need some help, but like the fact that they've been winning kind of helped them out.
The Niners are gonna roll in there and
They have a
ruin their
huge,
season.
Huge game on Sunday at
Yeah.
the Texans.
Oh, that's a big one.
So-
Texans are coming off bye.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
it's
the Texans have been kind of disappointing this year.
yeah, it regressed the sophomore slump.
Well, they also
Yeah.
didn't have Nico Collins for like 6 weeks.
yeah, and then they lost was it Aziz Al-Shaair?
Alshair, the
They didn't lose
suspension.
him. He lost himself.
He put Trevor Lawrence on IR.
He did
He put him in the ambulance.
it's to his cousin
Just
Trevor Lawrence.
relax.
What? That's what that is. In the ambulance. You guys haven't
Anyways.
seen the ambulances with the 3s?
Yes.
That's what I like to call it.
Anyways, it's
Because I said that joke when he knocked out
Yeah.
Tua, and I was like, oh, he put him in the ambulance.
This is fucked up.
It was like a wrestling move, like the Undertaker, like when he puts him in the caskets. But DeMar Hamlin puts him in the ambulance.
Oh man.
Hey, dude. I mean,
so then Miami has Houston this week, San Francisco next week,
yeah.
the Jets one more time, and I think the Browns. So I think they have to win all 4 to even have a chance. They might be able to lose one, but it would have to be like not to an AFC team because that would hurt them.
They have a
this far.
shot. I mean,
They have an outside shot to just make a wild card. 'Cause
yeah.
the Bills already clinched the division, I think, like 2 weeks ago.
Well, I mean, you can say too. I mean, Miami's kind of been hindered by injuries, right? And
Yeah, but it's like now that they got going, it's crazy. Like, I mean, to see how much reliant they are on Tua and
Kinda sucks,
how he
yeah.
spreads the ball out.
Yeah.
But I mean, that tells you how much like his value is to the team. Because a lot of people are like, "Oh, don't pay him." Well, we saw what happened
happens
when he's not in.
Yeah.
Like these guys could barely even
Mhm.
get 10 points in a game.
Well, him and Purdy are like similar situations, right?
Yeah.
Like there's just
They're
like,
good enough to manage a game, you
Yeah.
know, to win you a game.
but a good quarterback is so hard to find in the NFL, dude.
It is.
Like when you don't have one, it's just like, dude, it sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, when your quarterback's out, Cooper Rush is starting for you, and you're just like, God damn it, you know?
So we'll see.
Hey, by the way, Cooper Rush still has a winning record. So just keep that in mind.
We'll see how Miami finishes out the season. They kept their season alive because they almost lost that game on Sunday to Aaron Rodgers.
Oh
and the
yeah,
Jets.
to the
They
Jets,
dude. They were down 8 and they went down and drove in the fourth quarter to get a touchdown and 2-point conversion, then tied it at the end, then won it in overtime.
100% Aaron Rodgers was on the beach tripping out on mushrooms. Like,
Him and Devontae were slinging it. They look like the old
Finally.
days.
the old them.
Finally, I
Yeah.
needed that.
When
in
people are
fantasy.
not when people are not watching them.
It was like watching them back in Green
Back
Bay.
in their old days.
But yeah,
It was a cool overtime win though for Tua.
Yeah,
I'm glad
because
I
their
was happy
season was
for
on. If they lost that
Mhm.
game, they were done.
John
Yeah.
Smith, thank you for helping me get a win.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Miami wild card spot, obviously, right? They're not going to get the division.
No.
So right now it's Baltimore, Chargers, and Broncos. You're not catching Baltimore. Very unlikely.
Baltimore's got a big game coming up.
Very unlikely. So
we'll talk about it
that
right now.
that leaves Chargers and Denver. And Denver has Miami has working for them is they play each other.
Yeah, they play the Colts. Colts and Broncos play this weekend.
So it's going to be Colts Broncos.
They can take each
and then
other
the
out.
Broncos have the Chargers. Then they have Cincinnati, and then they have the Chiefs.
Chargers have the Bucks too this weekend.
Yeah, so that's Denver schedule. And
The
then-
Bucks coming to LA?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Oh, they're going to Tampa.
they're going
You
to
sure?
Tampa. Yeah.
I thought they were coming out here.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong way. Yeah, so Tampa is coming to LA, Then Denver's coming to LA.
It's a big one for the Chargers too.
But here's what the Chargers have going for them is then they're at New England, then they're at Vegas.
To the end of the season.
So
It's
if it's going to be a team that the Dolphins are going to catch, it's got to be
the Broncos.
the Broncos.
Yeah, I agree.
Brings me so much joy watching the Raiders just continuously just make bad decisions.
Why does that bring you? I feel like it would
I don't know,
have brought
but
you
it's just-
joy when you were 8 years old. By now,
But it's just
an-
because like
just the Raiders.
Because like Raider fans, they're just like they're so funny. Like they don't get like when you talk shit about their team, they're not like you know. They're like yeah. They start talking. They're they're just like
Dude,
it's
they've
so
been. But it's the
fun.
Raiders. They've
But
been
they-
down in the dumps since 2003, man.
Raider
Like,
fans
it is
don't
what
give
it
a
is.
fuck. They're like, let's go to the game, get drunk, let's watch the Raiders lose. They don't care, and it's so fun.
The crazy part is like now that I've been to Allegiant for a Raider game, like the visiting team outsells the home team. There's
It's Vegas.
Well, we knew that was going to happen before
it's just
they
a
even opened that
destination
stadium.
location.
It
So
happens in
so
LA.
the old Coliseum vibes of home field advantage. And
That's not there
it's
anymore.
not there.
That's
No
gone.
more. What was it? The pit, the black pit.
Oh, the Black Pit.
the black hole. Bro.
It was
Black hole.
Yeah.
in the Coliseum when we went to some of those Niner Raiders preseason games. It got hostile. Like there was like sometimes it was kind of scary.
That's probably pretty epic.
Yeah, but now I haven't gone to one in Vegas, but like it's not the same.
No, it's not. It's a showcase now. It's basically like
But I mean,
it's an event. You know?
Yeah,
he's making his money. That's all. That's all he cared about. Davis. That's why they moved to Vegas.
there's a guy who makes YouTube videos for the Raiders. Well, not for the Raiders, but he like covers the Raiders. He's actually got a big following on YouTube. He's from Fresno. He lives in Fresno. Yeah. I've seen some of his videos. He does a pretty good job. They're like 10, 15-minute videos. They're not like super long.
Give him a
They're not
shout
like
out.
us?
What's his name?
Oh, man. I forgot his name.
Plug him.
Oh, this is awkward.
Yeah, plug him. Yeah.
You right here.
Wi-Fi
Shout
Willie.
out.
Wi-Fi Willie.
Wi-Fi
Yeah.
Willie?
Oh, there you go.
He's got a good podcast. He's
Oh,
got
I'll look this guy up.
cool little channel. This is a big channel. He's got a big following. He talks so much shit about the Raiders though. It's like that's what I mean. It's like
he's realistic.
He's
then.
realistic. Like he's a Raider fan, but he talks so much shit about them, and he makes some good points too. Like he was against the Antonio Pierce hiring, which I was too. I was like, dude, that doesn't make any sense.